Om Shri Paramagurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Parameshti Gurubhyo Namaha. Sixth verse of Shiva Sankalpa Sukta. The Sukta which has spoken very elaborately on the mind. A very important instrument. Responsible for everything. Sixth verse of Shiva Sankalpa Sukta. SosharathiRashvani vayam manusyan me niyute pashubhirvajinivan hృత్ప్రవిష్టం యదచరం యదిష్టం తన్మే మన శివ సంకల్పమస్తు. సోషారథిరశ్వాని వయం మనుష్యాన్ మే నియుతే పశుభిర్భజీనివాన్ హృత్ప్రవిష్టం యదచరం యవిష్టం తన్మే మన శివ సంకల్పమస్తు. See, these verses, whether Shiva Sankalpa Sukta or all such suktas, you can tune them to any agreeable raga. And what she chosen also is the good raga. The only thing is, when we choose raga for such suktas, if it is Veda mantras, Veda suktas, nothing to worry. Already there is a swara is there and all. But for other suktas, when we choose the raga, that should not distort the meaning of the sukta. If possible, we should stress upon the meaning of it. That should be the when we think of a what you call the raga, if at all you want to add. Nothing wrong. Why I mentioned it is, I think I have shared the last few minutes of Sri Dayananda Saraswati. There you can see or hear when he recite Shantakaram Bhujaga Shayanam, he stress on Bhava Bhaya Haram. He stress upon that. Bhava Bhaya Haram, he tells that. So when we recite such suktas, if it can, the music or raga, it can speak about its bhava also, it will be wonderful. For a good music, bhava is as important as raga. Some of the songs or music we enjoy, and some not, we may not, just very casually. If you really look into that, those songs we enjoy or appreciate or take us to some mind soothing, etc., etc. There's a bhava in them more than raga. It is not only for music. Even while speaking, talking also, words spoken and the way those words are spoken also should have a bhava. So that bhava gets into the listener's mind very penetratively. That will have a greater impact on the listener. The subject gets into the mind very deeper. Just I mentioned the bhava. Why I am mentioning bhava here? The same thing also when we are into sadhana. There was the bhavana, bhava, plays a very vital role to achieve the desired results in spiritual sadhana. Whether it is a dhyana, meditation, whether it is a mantra yoga, the chanting the mantra, or whether it is a worship externally with so many upacharas, whatever be there, all are sadhana only. What is that? Connecting ourselves to divinity. That's the purpose of it. So, when we do all these things with bhavana, with bhava, the connectivity becomes very easy. And also, the result of connectivity also wonderful. Here, in the 6th verse of Shiva Sankalpa Sukta, it's a wonderful analogy is given here. Susharati, Ashwani, Ivayam, Manushyan. The mind which guides us. Analogy is like a good sarathi, like a good charioteer, controls the horses. It is similar to that. As a good charioteer, a sarathi, the driver who drives the chariot, pulled by the horses. Like that, the mind is a good chariot, controls the horses, and that mind resides in the heart. Prutpravishtam yadacharam. Prutpravishtam. There is no doubt here. Prutpravishtam is that who resides, dwells in the heart. O mind, which guides the horses like a good charioteer. Oh, that mind which resides, dwells in the heart. Oh, my mind, that mind, may you dwell in auspicious thoughts. The Tanme Mana Shiva Sankalpa. Before we try to understand the last verse, we should just look back and refresh our memories. The first verse speaks about the nature of the mind and need for its purification. The first verse has spoken about it. The nature of the mind and necessity, need for its purification. And number 2 verse speaks about an agna, Agni Agna. 2. That's about the breathing from very deep breathe, so that prana ignites and makes the Agni in Manipura becomes flames, not just fire sufficient. There should be some flames that ignite as well. Spoken in 2nd verse. In third verse, it has explained the significance of the buddhi, intellect. The significance of buddhi is very important. Significance is it need to provide the proper, perfect, right direction to the mind. Yes. That is the significance of the buddhi, intellect. But unfortunately, the mind doesn't receive many times such a directions from buddhi because it is influenced by the deep impressions in chitta. That impressions, even if we call it as for our normal understanding, we don't take it literally. It's the impression only. That has more influence on the mind than the intellect. But for us to understand simply, our karmas have more influence on mind than intellect. That's why we undergo a lot of difficulties because our karmas in the form of impressions in chitta is more influential than the buddhi on our mind. That's why we suffer, we undergo the results of the karma. So, buddhi is not heard. Then in the fourth verse, it talks about Sakta Hota Yajna. The yajna in 7 psychic centers so that mind gets back to its original nature of expansiveness instead of getting attached to gross, the senses. It becomes expansive by that Sakta Hota Yajna. Then the last verse, it's not before this verse, the verse 5 speaks about supremacy of the mind over everything. Whatever is told in 1, 2, 3, 4 verses are systematically carried. We can realize the supreme authority of the mind over everything. Now, the 6th verse talks about, see, 1 to 5 spoke about the mind is nature, then where are the possibilities of its expansion and significance of buddhi, and use all that properly, you can experience the supreme authority of the mind. Find the mind wonderful. But the last verse, verse number 6, is more important because all that we know now, what to do. But verse 6 points out very common obstacles that we may have to face in the course of our sadhana. Our sadhana is to realize the Atma, realize the Brahman. For that, there is a need to withdraw our mind from the senses and make it expansive. Then only it's possible to realize the self, Atman. In the process, this verse brings out obstacles that may come in our way and how to manage this, how to prevent them, those obstacles. Those obstacles may not stop us to realize that the supremacy of the mind, but it slows down our effort. It takes more time than what's required. That's all. It is like on a highway, like speed breaker. The obstacles. It will slow down our sadhana. We are driving on a wonderful highway, and immediately we get continuously some obstacles like speed breakers or a town or a village where a lot of traffic and people moving in. Also an obstacle. Immediately we have to slow down. To that extent our sadhana gets slowed down. For that. And we don't know. It is part of Veda, I told you. So we cannot say who composed it. Vajrayana Samhita and Ashtadhyayi also is a part. Wonderful analogy is given of the chariot, Ratha, Sarathi, and the horse. The body, Deha, that is the chariot. Deha is Ratha. The mind is the Sarathi, the chariot, who holds the reins, the horses. That horses are the five senses. You know that. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa. Smell, taste, sight, touch, and sound. If the horses are wild, horses, the five senses, they are wild and not controlled by, not able to control by the chariot of the mind. Then the horses, the sense organs, they lead the mind and body together in the disaster. When the accident takes place, it's not only the people sitting inside the vehicle will suffer, also the vehicle. So vehicle is body, even the body and mind also lead to disaster. But if Sarathi in the mind does not listen to the will of the horses, will of the senses, and instead he restrains them, restrains the horses, restrain the senses, by exercising control on them. Then the Sarathi, the mind, can lead the both body and the mind towards the desired goal, towards the desired destination. Of course, this analogy is given also in many places. Even in Bhagavad Gita, there is a mention of that. Body is the ratha, horses are the senses. And the mind is the sarathi, the driver. It is all of our experience. All of you who are in Dana Yajna, in one way or other you are doing some sadhana. You are not just somebody. You have experienced it. It's a common experience to all of us. When an aspirant sadhaka wanted to go internally. Go internally means getting into meditation, getting into mantra yoga. Till he or she gets into mantra yoga or dhyana, these senses are very calm, they're comfortable. But once the sadhaka gets into that, wanted to do something, it is our common experience. We encounter resistance from the sense organs. If you really observe, you know that. All of us have this experience. Once we decide to sit for sadhana, they will not keep quiet, the sense organs. They encounter the resistance. They encounter the resistance and attract the mind's attention. All of us have experienced it. And mind, as we know, its nature is wandering. So when this sense organs starts giving resistance to sadhana, mind begins to listen to that. These sense organs which are disturbing us. And the temptations of the sense organs always be there. They can be this very distracting. Then what happens? Yes. How to overcome this at the time? The buddhi has to intervene, and we should caution the sadhaka to continue with his sadhana, attain the supreme state of mind, and abide in this. It is not easy as said. When the sense organs distract the sadhaka, mind joins them. It is very happy. Oh, some sense organ calling me, let me go and check what it wants. So with that, the sadhana is disturbed. Imagine if the sarathi as well as horses both become one and they do whatever they want. Where the ratha will go? Simple imagination. The first obstruction starts from the sense organs. They behave mischief. They play mischief. The horses. Then the mind, instead of controlling that mischief, mind also joins them. Come on. You know what happens. The destination is forgotten. The fear comes. Fear dominates. You don't know where they're going. Unless the buddhi should intervene and caution us to continue our sadhana. But it is not easy outside. When the horses and chariot joined together, can't help. The buddhi also cannot do anything. When we try to direct the mind and restrict its movement to a path which is not desirable for spiritual sadhana, these five senses began to offer more food to that. Even if we want to control that mind, which is preventing our concentration in sadhana, the senses will not keep quiet. They offer more food for the imagination of the mind, which is wandering. And for this wonderful analogy is given. Very wonderful. Our effort of controlling the mind, not to listen to senses, is as if somebody comes and grab us from behind and try to restrict our movement, assume. Somebody holds it. Immediately, you know what's the reaction? Our hands and legs both will try their best to escape. Isn't it so? This is a common thing anybody can. And even child will do it. If you go, child is going somewhere. A small child, it has no much intellect as we have. You want to go somewhere, reach somewhere, you just hold it back. Immediately it will not keep quiet. It will start resist from by using his hands and legs, is it not? Same thing. The senses will respond similarly to the restriction, to the restraint of the mind on them. If mind starts to restrain them, it's like holding somebody in the back to stop moving. Immediately we start using our hand and leg to escape. Same thing. When we try to make the mind to hold on to the senses, they will not keep it. They try to respond similarly to the restriction. It doesn't accept the restriction, senses. When I'm talking about this, we may get confused whether sense is superior or mind superior. Even if mind wants to control senses, sense want to escape means, is it sense is more powerful than mind restricting us? This question may come. The answer is very simple. The mind and the senses are wonderful natural allies. They have wonderful friendship among them in doing wrong things. And they will do. Both of them will try their best. Both together. The sense organs as well as the mind. To disrupt all our attempts to control the mind, to direct towards the sadhana. What to do then? There is a need in such case. It's extremely very important to tell the mind, to ask our mind to ignore the demands of the sense pleasures. We should train the mind. The senses will be disturbing you. Don't get distracted. They demand the sensual pleasures and disturb you. Please ignore it. By that, we should try to break their connection with the mind. The sense organs and the mind, that connectivity should be reduced at least. Though not, we can disconnect it. And that naturally, the connection between the mind and senses should be weakened at least. It's a toxic connection with the mind, sense organs has. We shall try to, of course, disconnect. I don't say it's possible. At least make that connection is not that strong and binding, so that mind will listen to everything. At least the responses of this mind towards the sense demands may be reduced. I can give you, it's all our experience. No doubt. No doubt. For all into sadhana, I have got this experience so that I can explain with an example. You don't have palaces, We have a small houses. They're all living as people. They don't live in palaces with so many rooms and a separate puja room separately. We have a small puja room in the hall or dining hall, etc. We sit for meditation. Immediately, you get a very beautiful smell of cooking from the kitchen, which you like so much. Your dish. Maybe I like something, you like something. You know the smell of that. That immediately nose gets it. It disturbs the mind. Look, there's something cooking for me. Disturb. Mind listen to that. So the nose is more connected to the kitchen. It can be same thing. Even you can listen to some voice. Maybe most loved one may have come to the hall and whom we have not seen for many days. And his sound is heard. Immediately the ear gets tempted. It can't stop the temptation because I have not heard that voice for many years and somebody has arrived and the sound is coming. This true. This all happens to us. That disturb our focus and concentration. Our imagination goes there and tempts us. Though we are sitting here for dhyana and mantra yoga, ears connected to the mind, attached to that person who has come home and not met for a long time. The nose gets into kitchen. This happens regularly for us. What should be done? It's a continuous practice. Not mind should not listen to that communication by nose. How it's possible? We must send signal to mind. What the nose sending you message that this smell is very dear to me. I like it. It is not so, I don't like it. This is not pleasant to me at all. So the message is in the sadhaka to the mind is different from what message is given by the sense organ, the nose. So mind gets confused. This we can practice. I'm not telling something which is not practical. Similarly, the voice may not be hurry to that. No problem, though I have met him for some time, he can wait for me. He or she can wait for me. Nothing to worry, my dear mind. Let ear send you a message that it has been hearing that sound for quite a long time and very interesting. It can wait, don't worry, my dear mind. So, whatever the sense organs try to distract the mind, we should be in a position to distract that from mind from the sense organs. Sense organs will be distracting the mind. We must see that mind is distracting the sense organs. It is a constant practice, a continuous practice. We don't work with sense organs, we work with the mind. The sense organs are distracting the mind. We must tell the mind, don't get distracted from that. I'm not serious about that, what the sense organ is telling you. It's a practice. If you do it few days, when the mind is distracted from by the sense organs during our hadana, continuously go on doing it. I'm not telling anything impractical. It's a normal thing that happens to us. The sense organs tempt the mind on one side. We tell the mind not to get tempted. It's a continuous practice. Then what happens, after some time, the sense organs understand that they cannot tempt anymore the mind during the meditation. And we will discover a wonderful freedom of happiness. I think it's a very small thing. No? I can give so many examples for this. Or you can find one. Somebody can help me on that. If you can. It's very simple. The sense organs will distract the mind towards something the mind was interested earlier. Because it's the desire, interest, smell, etc. enjoyed by mind. So with that, it distracts the mind. But we must instruct the mind. Don't worry, this was once upon a time I was interested, not now. Don't worry, that sense organs will be sending you this message, but I'm not interested. So mind will not attend to that. It can be done one day. A continuous practice. So mind also is trained not to listen to the sense organs during your meditation, on one hand. On the other hand, sense organs also understand. During this time, whatever the message I send to mind will not respond. It's a two-way wonderful disconnection. Is it not easy? Am I talking something very difficult to practice? It is simple suggestion. It is simple thought process. Using the same mind. This is how Sarati should do. If we wish to know everything of the matter in the world and beyond. That's why it is said it's in the heart. Mind in the heart, it has stood. Mind not in the brain. I have been telling you sometimes. Krut pravishtam itacharam yadishtam tanne manushya. So in our heart becomes the seat of mind. And we must clean and purify the mind by performing whatever the yajnas. Need not be sabta hota. Yajnas, I'm not talking about offering in the altar, in the fire, the habis. Yajnas internal. Yajnas. Whatever the yajnas kind of you are taught or you are aware, those yajnas will help us. These yajnas, what they do, I told you, I'll repeat that. The sense organs will be communicating to mind. It's very interesting for you. Just see. Before the mind gets attracted to that sense organs, the attraction of mind is distraction to us. The attraction of mind towards sense organs is distraction to us in sadhana. The intellect should communicate to mind. Don't worry, my dear. Don't bother about the sense organs department. I'm not interested anymore. I was interested once upon a time, not now. During this time, I'm totally no. Don't listen to the sense organs. But buddhi has to play a role. Buddhi should inform mind. Don't get ready about it. The distraction is the one which always creates misery. Even in our normal life. Forget about the spiritual life. Is it not the accidents on the road happens because of distraction of the driver from something else than the driving? Is it not distraction in our lives of various things which disturb our family life? Is it not distraction of something while they're cooking? The dish gets spoiled. Is it not the distraction that a student cannot score good marks during the examination though he knows everything? Look at the distraction. It plays havoc. It's a continuous practice that mind shall not get distracted with sense organs. It's possible with the buddhi. I mentioned before that mind is more inclined to chitta than buddhi. Yes, how? I can explain it now. Suppose I think I have a taste for liking for a Mysore pak. It is true also. Anyway. My love towards Mysore pak and its taste and its smell is recorded in chitta, yes or no? Because that's recorded in chitta, the sense sends the message to you. Look, your favorite dish is cooking in the kitchen. Chitta responds, yes, this taste, it is in my store. What you're telling is wonderful, all right, sense organs. So mind listens to chitta immediately. Whatever the sense organ says, processed in chitta, because that's connected to that, the previous experience. Otherwise, that taste, that smell may not distract my mind at all, because I have no connection to that. That connection is established in chitta, stored in chitta. That influences the mind. Yes. What the sense organ is telling you, that's exactly Mysore pak. Because I stored here, it's a smell and taste. Come on. So easily heard by mind and react. There, the buddhi should take over. In other words, what I said, the practice. When the sense organs distract the mind, we should see that mind is distracted from the sense organs, impulses. That's possible only with buddhi. You cannot disconnect mind from chitta. No chance. So only that buddhi should prevail. And it should say that. No. Don't worry. You can continue your meditation. It will not distract you. Mysore pak is getting ready now only. It may take half an hour for you to meditation. After that, you can happily enjoy it, that dish, whatever you want. It makes no difference for you to give attention to that now. It's only cooking. It's not ready for you to eat. Relax. That is the message from mind. And mind is very sensitive thing. That mind understands what is convenient to it. Yes. Always. It understands, yes. Chitta is telling me that this is the taste and smell I like. But what Buddhi is telling, it's not ready, it's telling. So it's right. So let us relax and continue my meditation. By the time it's only smell I'm getting, real dish will be ready only after my complete mind. This applies to everything. How do we apply? The sixth verse of Shiva Sankalpa is the most important for sadhaka. Very, very important. And it is a consistent, constant practice. The mind is always distracted by our sense organs. And mind responds to that distraction because whatever the message received by senses is stored in Chitta and it responds to that. Then you must make that Buddhi strong. To see that mind doesn't get distracted by it. So it becomes a one-way communication. Distraction from the sense organs, but not responded by mind. Because mind understands I need not get attracted to it now because Buddhi is telling me. Hope we understand this. Hope convey properly what I want to convey. The first verse begins with the nature of mind and its expansiveness. It's expansive and subtler than the space. You can imagine its strength. You can just imagine what all it can do. Provided we use it. We make it expansive. And what is the hurdle? What is the obstacle? The sense organs that influences the mind. And that mind influenced by chitta or karma. So I don't say karma, I want to say that the karma is that stamp that our impressions are there. That will be more effective on influences on mind than buddhi. So buddhi should play more important. That's why Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Sanstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. This will help us. This sloka, this verse will help us to activate our buddhi against chitta to influence the mind. So the conclusion, whatever the yajna you do, we do to expand the mind. Use it, its nature, expansiveness. The hurdle is the sense organs and it begins with the mind. If you can manage that. It is not for only spiritual practice or attaining the self-knowledge or Atma Sakshatkara or Brahma Sakshatkara. It will be wonderfully useful to us for our materialistic life. Try this place. May my mind, Tanme Mana, Shiva's Sankalpamastu. Let my mind. May my mind not get influenced by the senses. My prayer is that. May my mind, let it not get touched. It should be untouched by the influence of the senses. Instead, let my mind dwell on the auspicious thoughts. Those auspicious thoughts will be ever increasing and abides in the self. When that auspicious thoughts increases up and abide in the self, we attain supremacy in all aspects. The prayer is this now. Let my mind untouched by the influence of the sense organs. Instead, let it get influenced by the buddhi. With this, let us conclude the Shiva Sankalpa Sukta, all the 6 verses. This has conveyed properly the most important thing. For any sadhana, need not be only spiritual sadhana. Even for in career, during studies, everywhere it applies. If you know this small trick, small method, simple method to handle the mind, avoid the distraction from the sense organs. Lot many things can be achieved, both materialistic and spiritual. Let us start practicing this from this minute. Result of such practice. It can't be done one day. It's a process. It's a process. You should keep your mind, the intellect, always active, so that it will be interfering every time. Whenever the sense organs distract the mind, the buddhi has to play its role. See that it doesn't get attracted by that. It's a continuous practice. And we know, all are under control only. Sense organs are within us. Buddhi is part of antakarana. Chitta is part of antakarana. Manasu is part of antakarana. They are not elsewhere. Everything is inside. We are not controlling an enemy outside. Only internal. It's only the practice required. Let us make a beginning today. And this is how Dalita Trishati, last few namas of Ankara, speaks about purification of mind. Purification of mind is nothing but keep it away from the influence of sense organs. Let it be under the control of buddhi. That's it. That's the purification of mind.